Hi, welcome to episode 3 of the YouTube channel. Today we're looking at an overexposed clip and I'm going to show you some best practices on how to deal with it properly and how to get the most out of the image. So we're going to jump straight into Davinci Resolve. So over here you can see the clip that we're going to be using today. Really overexposed, quite bright, but yeah, this is what we're going to be working with today. So we're going to jump straight across into the color page. So we're just going to right click, we're going to add node and we're going to add a serial. We're going to move this over to here, we're going to right click, add label, and this is going to be our output. If you're unsure why I'm using the Nari LUT, then please check the episode here. It might be there actually. And I'll go through the exact steps as to why I'm using that over the color space transform. So I'm just going to go up here. I'm going to turn off our effects. We're going to go up to our LUTs and we're going to use the Arri log C to gamma 2.4. We're going to drop this onto our output. Let's pop that on there. And as you can see, our image is really bright. So I'm going to show you how to deal with this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn off our output. So we've got our log space here. We're also going to pop our scopes out. Two scopes that we're going to be using today are going to be the parade and we're going to be also using the waveform. We're just going to move the floating window over to the bottom right hand side and we're going to go over to our contrast and pivot. So this is the tool that we're going to be highlighting today. So our pivot goes from 0 to 1. So let's quickly reset that. The other thing to note is that we are actually monitoring our scopes and our scopes go from 0 to 1023 because this is a 10-bit scale. If you go to the Arri website, it will tell you that the log C mid-grey point is 39%. So using that figure, if we go to here and if we go to 0.39 to 0.39%, and if we then go to our scopes and show reference levels, we're going to type 400 into there. And you'll notice a grey line appear here. So let's do the same with our waveform. So let's press our settings, show reference level, type 400 in here, and let's click away and you'll see that. Now 400 is the mid-grey point on a 10-bit scale for Arri log C. So let's now go over to our contrast. Let's bring that to 0. And what this will mean is it will bring the white point down to 0.39 and it will bring the black point up to 0.39, which will give us a mid-grey. So let's take that to 0. And as you can see, looking over here on the parade and the waveform, that 0.39 mimics the 400 on the waveform and the parade. All you really need to understand is that we're monitoring this image at the mid-grey point, which is those two values. So looking at the image, looking at the waveform, looking at the parade, we can see that those pixel values are really high up on those scopes. So for me, this image is really quite overexposed. We want these pixel values to be around that mid-grey point. So let's go to our first node. We're going to go over to our HDR wheel. We're going to go to our global setting. So let's pull that down. We're going to be working in stops. So we're just going to reduce that by 1 stop. So -1. Let's turn that node off and on. And looking at the waveform, we've got all our pixel values around that line. So for me, this is a really good way on how to combat overexposure and how to actually rebalance the image for that exposure point. And now we're just going to go across to our contrast and we're going to raise that. As you can see, the bottom part of the image is getting darker, the top part of the image is getting brighter. And this is exactly what you want to see. So we're just going to move the contrast back to there, 1.15. And now we're going to right click and we're going to add another node. So now that we've done all our exposure adjustments, now we can get on with grading. We're just going to bring the gain up and then you've always got that dance with the gain and the lift. So we're going to go over to our lift and we're just going to bring this down just like that. So next we're going to add another node. So right click, add serial, and we're going to label these quickly. So this one can be our sat. This one's going to be our contrast. Better go ahead and label all of these. We're going to label this one as well. So this is our expose adjust and we're just going to put this one as contrast 2. Now the reason I've got contrast and contrast 2 is not something I usually do, but just to break this node tree up to show you all the steps that I'm doing. So now we're just going to go across to our sat. We want to add a little bit of life to this image. So we're just going to go down to our saturation. We're just going to increase this by 20%. So we're going to go from 50 to 60. So let's type 60 into there, press enter. So I want to go back to now contrast 2 node. We're going to add another node here. So right click, add serial, and this is going to be our color adjustments. So we're going to label that and we're just going to put COL and put color adjustments in like that. So we're now going to head down to the gamma and we're just going to raise this up towards the orange red. As you can see, it's starting to look a little bit yellow. So we're going to counter that. We're going to go to the gain and we're just going to move that down towards the cyan green. So let's just turn that on and off to see where we're getting. And then there seems to be a little touch of red. So we're just going to go over to our lift and pull that down a little bit towards there. So let's turn that on and off. We've got a little bit of green in the clouds, so we're going to combat that. So let's move the gain up. And let's move the gamma to there. So let's just scrub through just to see where we're at. And for me, we're in a really good place, but her skin does need some work. Right click, we're going to add node, and we're going to add a parallel. What this basically means is that any adjustments that we make here is also going to work in conjunction with the node above. Now the next thing I want to do, I want to go to color, I want to go down to presets, and we're going to press 6 vector red. So let's click that. What the 6 vector red does is it selects all of the red pixels in your image. So now that we're going to go up to highlight, so this is highlighting all of those red pixels. As you can see, all of her skin tones have been picked up. We've also got her beautiful hair as well. So we're going to come out of the highlight node, and then we're going to go over to offset, and now we're going to breathe some life into her skin. So let's just grab the offset and let's just move it across to here. Let's get a better frame than there, so she's a little bit more in focus. Perfect. That was before, that's after. I actually think she's still a little bit bright in her skin, although this is a bright sunny day. Do want to bring those skin tones down a little bit. So we're just going to go to the gain, and we're just going to roll that back slightly. So maybe to there. So let's just turn this node on and off. And what this has allowed us to do, it's allowed us to breathe life into her skin without affecting the image, without any breakage at all. And this is a really simple way, if your image allows it, to key skin quickly and easily. So we're just going to play this image through. We're going to make sure we click loop on, and I'm really happy with where we're at with this image, considering it was a really overexposed shot. There is one more adjustment that I want to make, which is to shape the image. We need to be really careful here because it is an outdoor shot, it is naturally lit, and we don't want to make the image look smushy or broken or completely unnatural. We're going to go over to our sat node, we're going to right click, we're going to add node, add serial, and we're going to go down to our power windows. We're going to add our circle power window. So let's just bring our image further to the top, and all you need to do, hover over the image and move up. Now we're going to grab this power window, we're going to open it right out, we're going to drop this down, and then we're going to grab, hopefully this works, no it doesn't. Let's just move that out of the way. So we're going to go down to our softness. In Resolve 19 you used to be able to grab the little white, the little red dot really easy and move it up, but seems to you can't do that at the moment. So let's go over to the softness and let's just roll that up, and we just want to bring a really smooth gradient to this power window, and then we're going to go over to our gain and just bring that down, and that's just going to add a little bit of shadow to the bottom of the image. So let's go back up to here, let's press fit, and that will move our image back to the center of the screen. And let's just play that through. So I'm really happy how this look has turned out, especially seeing how overexposed the image was in the first place and how quickly and easily we've brought in skin tones without pulling the key. So that's all we've got time for this episode. If you have followed through, really appreciate you being here with me. And if you did get anything out of it, it would really mean the world to me if you could subscribe, drop a comment or a like. It will allow me to grow, it will allow me to make some more of these videos to help you out and get the most out of your images and teach you some colour grading. Until next time guys, thanks for watching, goodbye.